Hello, I am Mandy Roberts, and today we are going to go over Chapter 8 of our Griffin 2006 text, which is about social penetration theory by Erwin Altman and Dalmas Taylor. According to our Griffin 2006 text, Altman and Taylor compare people to onions. So there are multiple personalities that someone has, and every time you peel back a layer, so to speak, you get to know that person a little bit better and a little bit deeper. So closeness comes through self-disclosure. According to our Griffin 2006 text, Altman and Taylor believed that there were 4 observations, so to speak, of the breadth and depth of self-disclosure. The first one would be the peripheral items are exchanged more frequently and sooner than private information. So it's very easy to make small talk about yourself or about the day. The second one is self-disclosure is reciprocal, especially in the early stages of relationship development. So generally speaking, if someone shares some information with you about themselves that may be personal, you tend to feel the need to do the same thing. Number 3, penetration is rapid at the start but slows down quickly as the tightly wrapped inner layers are reached. So at the beginning of the relationship, it's easy to start sharing things about yourself until it gets to be very intimate details. And the fourth observation is depenetration is a gradual process of layer by layer withdrawal. Our text states, while depth is crucial to the process of social penetration, breadth is equally important. According to our Griffin 2006 text, Altman and Taylor believe that each person, when meeting another, does somewhat of a cost-benefit analysis. And there are a couple of things that happen when they do this. They're going to evaluate the rewards minus the cost. They're going to gauge relational satisfaction, what they can get from the relationship that would be satisfying. They're going to gauge relational stability. So is there a possibility that this relationship could be a long-standing relationship? I really like how our text stated and summarized this theory in less than 40 words. And it said, interpersonal closeness proceeds in a gradual and orderly fashion from superficial to intimate levels of exchange, motivated by current and projected future outcomes. Lasting intimacy requires continual and mutual vulnerability through the breadth and the depth of self-disclosure. Our Griffin 2006 text tells us about Sandra Petronio, who is a communication theorist, who believed that this theory was not complicated enough. She felt like that relationships were more complex than what Altman and Taylor had first thought. And she came up with the communication privacy management theory. She believed that people have personal boundaries and rules that guide whether or not they will be able to disclose their personal information to someone. According to our Griffin 2006 text, she believed that there were 5 criteria that were the basis and personal rules and guidelines for disclosure. So one of those was culture, another was gender, another motives, then of course the context that it was in, and the risk-benefit ratio. This theory also introduces the idea of boundary coordination operations. So boundary linkage, boundary ownership, and boundary permeability. So respecting boundaries of your friends and the expectation of those boundaries. Boundary turbulence comes when the parties are not able to coordinate privacy rules and boundary management. When I read our Griffin 2006 text about social penetration theory and communication privacy management theory, I couldn't help but an episode of my favorite show, The Big Bang Theory. In this episode, these friends decide to take this intimacy acceleration quiz, which is supposed to force someone to become more intimate. And the whole basis of this quiz is they have to ask each other these very personal questions while staring in each other's eyes. And it really is like that onion that Altman and Taylor talked about. As they began to ask each other these personal questions while looking at each other, they really did become much closer friends. And that is what I thought of immediately. And I think it's a great example of these theories.